You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show podcast, powered by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Try a Tito's Handmade Margarita today.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
You ready?
Let's go! 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now live in the Bank Plus studio, where college football meets the all lifestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is
The Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds, streaming around the world live at the Out of Bounds radio app and on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
Where are you?
The Zone.
Good morning. Welcome in. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone. A very passionate debate. I love it. And discussion around two fantastic quarterbacks. Eli Manning, Steve McNair, both with Mississippi ties. Obviously, McNair, born and raised here. And we all know about Eli's ties to the state of Mississippi. Welcome in. Good morning. 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, WRKS. Streaming live on thezone1059.com. And we would love for you to download the Out of Bounds radio app. That way you can listen to the show when you're walking, when you're at the gym, when you're in the office, when you're at your house, back patio, whatever. Out of Bounds radio app has, not only can you listen live, but it also has the podcast. Also, thank you for going to Apple Podcast and searching the Out of Bounds Show and listening to a segment, an hour, an interview, whatever. We really appreciate it. We're also on Spotify and Podbean, and our digital numbers continue to grow. We have all kinds of digital options for you and radio Of course, radio has been digital for 100 years, but radio and digital options for you. And we have listeners all over the state of Mississippi, more than anybody else. Hattiesburg, Gulf Coast, Golden Triangle, DeSoto County, Oxford, Tupelo, you name it. And then our podcast is continuing to grow, which I'm very excited about that. So I want to thank you. We would love for you to go to Apple Podcast and hit subscribe when you search the Out of Bounds Show. Twitter handle at Bo Bounds. The Mississippi Ag John Deere tractor text line is 601-885-3776. 885-3776. The show is brought to you by Chris Corley, Angel Oak Home Loans. Go ahead and get qualified with Chris Corley, Angel Oak Home Loans. Chris Corley, Angel Oak Home Loans. Also, lunch today brought to you by Sal and Mookie's in Madison, New York-style pizza, Sal and Mookie's in Madison, and the district at Eastover. What they do is they offer a slice and a salad. These are New York-style. This is New York-style pizza. The slices are huge. Now, some of you may want to go with the two-slice lunch, but you can go one slice, two slice. 90% of the time, that bad boy comes out in just a few minutes. So that's a quick option. Some of the other things take a little while, but the paninis and burgers and so on. But lunch today brought to you by Sal and Mookie's in Madison. And they're open. They offer two different slices as specials. They're great, and we highly recommend. And, of course, their paninis are wonderful, and their burgers and their wings are great. We had a Wings Wednesday yesterday. Blake said, was it yesterday or the day before that you did the wings?
I got my wings Tuesday because my dad was here. We went to Salamukis Tuesday after that. Yeah. Had the wings. But I did eat them I went with the order of wings to start, which my dad had one but doesn't eat a ton of chicken wings. But then I did the pizza and salad for my lunch, so I had some wings left over for yesterday.
Dude, so you went heavy.
Smart. Well, no, it's what we call bulk season, right? You know, so you gotta get it ahead of time, then it's ready. You know, a little extra meal. On the back end, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I had a little leftover chicken wing to take home.
Okay.
Ate those Wednesday.
Okay. All right.
So I did make it a wings
Wednesday. So you did a
Wednesday.
little bit of wings, but then you did a slice of pizza and a salad.
Because the pizza salad is and Tuesdays was their CBGB pizza, which is my favorite. It's got the like roasted garlic and pepperoni and on there. It's really good, red sauce pizza.
Yeah.
And then, so I did that with the salad. Can't pass that up.
Yeah.
But then the wings are so good. It's like I wanted at least like 1 or 2 wings that time, but I wasn't going to be able to eat all of them.
You're high maintenance. Yeah.
Yeah. So they wouldn't serve me just 2 wings on the side, so I had to get a whole order.
Yeah. Well, their wings are delicious.
They're so good.
Smash some wings.
I could drink that gorgonzola sauce. Oh, my
I put you on that.
gosh, that stuff is so good.
It is delicious, no doubt. Kind of like the peppercorn parmesan.
Yeah. Also,
at Kessler.
yeah, I bought a thing of that when I was there last time.
Did you?
Yeah. Dressing, take home. Yeah.
Oh,
Use
cool.
it at the house, man. It's too good.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Yeah. All right. What'd you have last night?
Well, that's why I ate my leftover wings, and then I just did some vegetables. I just kind of cooked up some like green beans and stuff, and just kept it simple. A little at home, simple. I can't cook. It's hard to cook for yourself I live alone. It's hard to cook for one person every night.
That's true.
It's hard to cook in single orders. I'm not a restaurant. I don't have everything portioned out that way. So,
well, the struggle for you is real.
It's very real.
And we had lasagna.
See, that's a great family meal because you can make a tray. Half of it's gone the first night.
Yeah.
And then Wilkes will just come in there and like take a spoonful out of the fridge.
Well, he's a picky eater. I don't even know what he had.
He didn't eat lasagna?
I don't think he eats lasagna.
My
daughter
like
loves it. It
I
was
don't
her
like
birthday.
lasagna either, yeah.
She had something go late, so we didn't go out to eat. I think we may do that later. But, lasagna was delicious. It was great. And I enjoyed it, for sure.
There you go.
Cool. All right. So have we accomplished anything in this? I don't think we really have. Have we accomplished anything in this debate? It's the ongoing debate that can never be answered, right?
No, I guess you just have to, I guess you accrue enough respected opinions and you just have to side with what the majority say. Is that how you would do it?
So even though Palazzolo was kind of,
he likes to play with the audience, I think, though, too. I think a little bit of that.
I guess he leaned a little bit McNair, but not by much.
Yeah.
But even though, I didn't have a chance to ask Jeff Duncan if he believes McNair will be in the Hall of Fame. Palazzolo said no.
Yeah.
So basically, you can be a left guard and be an awesome left guard for 11 years in the NFL and grade out at a high level and go to the Hall of Fame and world. And let's just be honest, most people don't care.
No.
I mean, when that guy's up on the podium, let's just cut. People want to see Peyton Manning and
or a coach.
Russell Wilson and these guys go in. And you can play safety, in which, let's be honest, we don't just lock into safety play. Heck, a lot of times, and this still blows me away with the TV angles, you don't even get to see the whole field. I don't understand why we, I'd like to be able to see the quarterback drop back, but also what's going on.
Yeah. You want
as
that
far
all
as route
22.
running.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's the deal. With quarterbacks, Palazzolo said you have to dominate if you don't have a Lombardi trophy. You have to dominate in the regular season.
Yeah. So
like
you can
Dan Marino.
You can be top
and is he the
5.
only one?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think what he said, too, is he mentioned Steve Young and Peyton Manning, where those are two guys who were dominant for the most part in their career and were almost short of getting a Super Bowl. Peyton obviously ends up getting 2, but as Steve said, it wasn't like Peyton was the end-all,
he wasn't
be-all.
the catalyst.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is weird to say because he's a great player.
Yeah.
The first time when they beat the Bears, he had 3 touchdowns and 7 picks. That's weird.
In that playoff run, yeah.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side of that is they do allow DBs to literally hang on receivers.
Yeah. But I like the way Palazzolo put it up.
And we've had a lot of QBs win it more than, I guess, Nick Foles, Joe Flacco, Mark Rippon, Trent Dilfer.
Brad Johnson.
I mean, we've had a bunch of QBs win it that just are really average QBs.
It goes to show you, too, like what he said, you have to be top 5 at your position, regardless of the position, to be in the Hall of Fame discussion. But where the Lombardi factors in is mostly with QBs. It's not
right.
With, the Browns got Joe Thomas. He'll probably go in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he played a single playoff game his entire 15 career. Yeah. But he'll go in the Hall of Fame because he was the number 1 tackle for 8 straight seasons. So
that's a good point. Joe Thomas is a great example of someone who dominated at his position, and it won't matter that he never won a playoff
Never
game.
even showed up in the playoff.
He'll probably get in first ballot. Okay. Live in the Bank Plus studio. Bank Plus. It's more than a name. It's a promise. Back in a sec.
You're listening to the Out of Bounds podcast, powered by Welcome Home Beef. For the highest quality fillets, ribeyes, well, any cut of beef, you want to try Welcome Home Beef. Find it at a grocery store near you.
It's a good song. Good morning. Welcome in. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone. ESPN, brought to you by the Philly cheesesteak sandwich at Roosevelt's at Live Oaks Golf Club. We'll have the college football kickoff classic. That's a golf tournament, September 1. And September 2nd. And we're looking forward to that. If you want to jump in, come on. We were doing that for several years. And I'm glad we're doing this tournament again. It's the first day of college football season. I guess there could be some games that week before, but it's not anything good. But Thursday, September 2nd, Live Oaks Golf Club. We'll be broadcasting from there live, 7 to 10 a.m. And it'll be the college football kickoff classic at Live Oaks Golf Club. We'll broadcast from Roosevelt's. And if you want to get in, call 601-982-1231. That's calling Live Oaks, by the way. Call the Pro Shop. 601-982-1231. And we'll be there September 2nd. Looking forward to that. And Kyle Morris and the crew hosting another awesome golf tournament on September 2nd at Live Oaks, 601-982-1231. Play a little golf, have some fun. They're going to have all kinds of great prizes. In fact, we're getting some together for them. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It really is. And then we'll have college football that night, which will be cool. So you can bet on a game or two if you want to. Then Mississippi State will play on Saturday and Ole Miss on Monday, which is crazy but cool. I'll take football throughout the weekend. And the game of the week is Georgia-Clemson. Because if Georgia loses...
Hello.
I mean, Georgia's got everything that they need to win big, great schedule, top 3 talent, a returning quarterback, everything you want to drive your way through the East. Florida's in a little bit of, not like big, but a little bit of transition. South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Missouri and Vanderbilt are not good. And so this is Kirby Smart's best opportunity, I guess, since several years ago when they lost on the walk-off to Alabama. And actually, this may be even more advantageous than what they went through then. But Georgia-Clemson play the first weekend of the season. And you're catching Clemson losing Trevor Lawrence and several other players. And so this is the time for Kirby to shine and show us that he's got the stuff.
That game is in Charlotte at the Panthers Stadium.
Which is ridiculous.
And
makes no sense.
Clemson favored by 3. Clemson favored by 3.
Vegas, that's what Vegas thinks about Kirby Smart. He's got more talent. He's returning more dudes.
Yep.
He's returning a starting QB. And he out-recruits Clemson.
Yeah.
Now say that all that out loud, and then Vegas has Clemson as a favorite.
Add in the fact that Clemson lost their starting quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, who's been there for multiple years.
Number 1 pick in the NFL draft.
Travis Etienne, first-round running back, and their top 2 pass catchers, and 2 of their starting 5 offensive linemen, or 3 of their starting 5 offensive linemen. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Gotta love it.
But you're favored by 3 on a neutral site. Hey, DJ Uiagalelei going to make a splash when he beats Georgia in week 1.
He'll have to play well. Yeah.
Right now, are you taking the points? Clear cut for sure? You feel confident?
If I'm taking the points, I'm taking Georgia.
Yeah.
No.
I'm asking.
I'm taking Clemson.
So you feel like
taking Dabo Swinney.
I'm asking. That's not because if Georgia is supposed to win the East and do all this, then they don't get beat by 3.
No, they don't. Actually, they should
win. Correct.
By 7 to 10 points at least. But that tells me Vegas is looking
no faith.
None.
No faith.
None. Kirby has all the wind is at his sail,
and yet
behind
nothing.
Yeah.
In theory, Matt Corral's a great story, and he probably is the best quarterback. But even on paper, there's no denying that JT Daniels is the best returning quarterback set up to win at a playoff level, right?
Right, sure.
There's no doubt. And yet, again, you have no faith in him as a 4th-year college player, but a 2nd-year Georgia player. You have no faith in that guy beating out a guy who's played a game and a half at Clemson?
It's awesome.
That's incredible. The over-under for that game is a whopping 52.5.
That doesn't surprise me, the way that Georgia – and look, Brent Venables is a heck of a defensive coordinator, but I will give Kirby this. I mean, they look absolutely loaded on defense.
Well, he's the antithesis of Ole Miss. They use their first 18 scholarships a year on defensive players.
That's a good point.
Ole Miss use their first 18 on offense.
Right.
Georgia's the opposite way.
I get it with Kirby. I mean, if they – obviously they should win the game, okay? And – yeah, I'll go with Clemson.
What's it say? What does it do for
I'd much rather have it at 3 than 3.5.
Yeah. Well, it's at 3 right now,
okay.
Clemson. So
I'll take that. That's much better
Get
on
it
that
now.
push. Right?
Get it now, yeah. What's it do to your psyche, both as a fan and maybe even a player? Because it's naive to think that players don't hear what's around. I mean, we're all human beings. It's, this idea that they don't pick up their phone.
Well, except Tom Brady, but go ahead.
Yeah, the idea that they don't pick up their phone and see stuff is crazy. They're 18 to 22-year-olds. So what would it do to your psyche if this is supposedly your year, you're finally supposed to be able to play with the big boys and do the thing, and you get beat by Clemson and a new QB? And I mean, what's that do to your psyche?
That's a great question, man, because their schedule is so manageable. That's because their next challenge will not be until at Auburn.
Maybe at Auburn.
Yeah, I think at Auburn, October 9th is their next challenge.
And if you really
so they go through and they just smoke people for weeks, right?
Yeah. If you boil it down, it's Clemson week 1, Auburn week 6, and Florida week 8, and that's it.
And maybe at Tennessee could be weird.
There's if Georgia struggles at Tennessee in Josh Heupel's first year with what Bartu lists as a defense that can't stop water.
I know it's a stretch.
Oh, my gosh.
I know it's a stretch. I said maybe.
But it can't be. If you're Georgia and you're a top 5 recruiter, it can't be.
No, I'm with you, but it could be.
But it can't be. That's the problem. It can't be.
It's not going to be Georgia Tech, so it better not be. I mean, Jeff Collins better not be able to play anywhere near you.
Dude. You go ahead and pull the hearse around front if Georgia is struggling at Tennessee or at Georgia Tech.
No, you're right.
You just go ahead and get the coffin measured up for Kirby because it's over at that point.
Can you imagine, though, if that's a close game?
More disappointing season. Georgia losing to Clemson and one other school and not being in playoff hunt, or LSU dropping 4 games?
LSU.
Even though Georgia feels like they're a playoff team.
But they hadn't done it since 1980.
Fair enough.
We've been talking about this.
Fair enough.
And they haven't done it since Ronald Reagan's first year in office. I mean, Georgia's not a championship team. They recruit championship-level talent.
Yeah.
But they're not a national championship. They have that profile. But they haven't won it in, what is that, 40?
They're USC outside of Pete Carroll. Texas outside of Mac Brown.
Yeah.
Somebody back in the 40s.
Yeah. They're Michigan, except they have one. Oh, wow. I mean, they have better players. We know that. All right. Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone. streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app, brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. Fortification, right there in Belhaven, and their new surgery center and clinic, Lakeland Drive, Flowood, MississippiSportsMedicine.com. SEC Insider Hit coming up next.
The Out of Bounds Show podcast is brought to you by Live Oaks Golf Club and Roosevelt's at Live Oaks. Whether you're in the mood for a hot lunch or you want to go play a quick 18 with a cold beer, the only choice is Live Oaks Golf Club and Roosevelt at Live Oaks on Highway 49 North.
All right. Good morning. Welcome in. Yeah, we're talking a little Kirby Smart, a little Georgia Clemson. I'm excited about that game. LSU and UCLA may give us something to stay in our seats for a little while that day and eat a little more food, a little boar's head charcuterie. You get your boar's head goodies from Corner Market. LSU at UCLA. It could be and shouldn't be, but could be intriguing. I hope Georgia Clemson's great.
Miami Bama?
Miami Bama.
Any faith that we have a game in the third quarter?
But I sure hope it is. I do. I guess the only way is if Rhett Lashley, who is considered an outstanding offensive coordinator, I don't know how he's not a head coach, but Rhett Lashley, the OC for the Miami Hurricanes, who used to be the OC for Gus Malzahn and whatever. If Rhett Lashley can pull some stuff and De'Aaron King, the quarterback at Miami, is one, healthy, and two, even 70% as good as the media wants to hype him up to be, maybe we could have a fun game there. We should have more games than that. But, Ole Miss Louisville on Monday, I just think Ole Miss takes care of them, and eventually, when it becomes a track meet, Ole Miss breaks away and really puts their foot down. So Georgia Clemson, LSU at UCLA, Bama Miami and Atlanta, Ole Miss and Louisville in Atlanta. And as Blake said earlier, the Georgia Clemson game's in Charlotte, which is nonsense. It should be either be in Clemson or Athens. And we're getting away from those games. Thank goodness. Neutral site brings, the TV. You want the home games. You want the crowd. I mean, I guess if we can hold here on COVID, we're going to have the crowd. And we should have the crowd because you should have the choice to decide whether or not you want to go to a game. And if you do, then you should. And if you don't feel comfortable, then you should absolutely not. But I sure hope that we have packed stadiums but neutral sites. Yeah, I think this will be Ole Miss's last, unless they had one other one or something maybe before Keith Carter took over. But when Keith joined us a couple of months ago, we asked him about the neutral site game. He's like, "I'm out. We're not doing that anymore. We either want to play in Oxford." I want to play on somebody else's field, which is what makes it more fun. Yep. I want to see student sections, alums, fans, that you just don't get that in the Mercedes-Benz Georgia Dome or much. I mean, the Carolina Panthers. Charlotte's it's not a college market. I understand that Georgia and Clemson people are more than capable of traveling there. But when the TV is so good, why am I going? I'm a Georgia alum. even if I live in Atlanta, and I know that flight's, 40 minutes? Well, that may not be a good example, actually. So that's a different deal. Atlanta to Charlotte, you probably do it for $100 and get there in 40 minutes. But so that's a different deal. But
Ole Miss to Atlanta is not worth it.
No.
Not to watch Louisville. I mean, there's very few games that aren't a bowl game where it's like worth it to make
if you
that
have
trip,
friends in Atlanta and you want to do that weekend, I get it. But the sizzle is off on that. And I know we got all into it, but now we're all done on that. So we hope that the games will be at home, and that'll be fun. But I hope we get something. LSU at UCLA. Ogeron cannot afford. Again, LSU should win by 100.
Line's 4.5.
I know. Vegas is in all seriousness, LSU should win by 30. Right? 40.
Should they?
45 to, at worst, 20.
2 new coordinators
14?
On both sides of the ball. No way the offense is well-oiled, especially now that you don't have Miles Brennan.
That is a good point.
I know
we
Max
have
Johnson played, but...
Two coordinators for LSU who have never called plays.
At any level.
I thought, okay. Well, anyway, not long if they have, right? So, where does that... And Chip Kelly has his quarterback returning. They've added some people in the transfer portal. They really haven't recruited that well, although their recruiting has now is better this year, but this year doesn't count. I mean, those guys won't sign until December. So Chip Kelly, who has been off the grid at UCLA because UCLA doesn't even care about football. So I'd love for something to happen out there for people to get excited about it. Southern Cal, get good again. Get good.
Ugh.
It's nice.
Get good.
Is that pretty much it for the weekend? Georgia, Clemson.
Yeah, so I looked on the schedule. There is Penn State, Wisconsin might get you excited. It is technically 2 blue bloods.
Okay, well I'm glad we have that.
Yeah.
I'm a big enough junkie that if that is a good game, I will watch it. I get it. A lot of our listeners are only SEC. They don't venture outside of the league, and that's fine.
Yeah. That's about it. I mean, it's a pretty powder puff first weekend.
Well, and what we hope is that we're trending toward that not happening ever again in years, right? So we'll either have all Power 5 matchups or all conference matchups type deal.
I wouldn't be mad watching Auburn, Penn State in week 1, right? Or, Mississippi State, NC State in week 1, and then you just go into SEC play.
Penn State was not any good last year, and the fact that you just brought up that game that Auburn goes to Penn State in week 3,
they're
James
underdogs.
Franklin does...
Penn State's the favorite. Auburn's an underdog at Penn State by 7.
Penn State does not need to drop that game. Auburn's in a transition year. Penn State's the second best recruiter in the Big Ten behind Ohio State. And as great as Franklin was at Vanderbilt, and as good as Penn State was the 2 years that Moorhead dropped in there, other than that, for whatever reason, Franklin has really struggled to get that thing going on offense.
They were 4-5 last year in 9 games.
In the Big Ten, as the number 2 recruiter. It would be different if you're Mississippi State or Ole Miss. And, you're not close to a top-tier recruiter in your conference. I think James Franklin's one heck of a coach. He can get after it on the recruiting trail. Great communicator, salesman, understands how to connect with kids. But that's a weird deal. Should he have made, I guess, something that we'll ask if this thing goes the wrong way is he's had every opportunity to take other jobs.
Yep.
And if he can't get it back going, now I wouldn't be surprised if again, that league's weak and there's not a lot of sizzle there. But James Franklin, who was it's never been done at Vandy, what he did. I know they were in the hunt for the college football playoff that 1 year.
They got robbed.
Okay. But other than that, and I get the McSorley, Saquon, that was fun, the tight end. But But other than that, what do we have? And to me, Penn State's losing its shine, like Michigan and Nebraska and some other, Tennessee and some other, that when you were growing up, you were told they were X. And you need a little buzz and sizzle around your name. And now the flip side is they have a monster alumni base. I've been to Happy Valley. They have over 50,000 students. It's insane how many they graduate and how many they bring in every year. Auburn at Pitt. Boy, that could be a big win for Brian Harsin early in his career at Auburn. There's no reason in Auburn playing this game. Terrible scheduling. Because Auburn already has to play Bama, LSU, Georgia, and so on every year. But Auburn's going to go on the road to Penn State and really put themselves in position to, lose a game that could cost them a notch in the bowl process. So it's bad. I like that it's there because it's intriguing to me. So for me as a fan, I love it. But for you as an Auburn football program, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible schedule.
It's the difference between them starting 4-2 and 3-3.
Yep.
100%, because they're winning all their other This is crazy. You don't see this very often. Auburn starts their season with 4 straight non-conference games. That doesn't happen very often.
No, and then the rest. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so they start 4 non-cons, and then they go at LSU, Georgia, at Arkansas.
Boy, if he could go 4-0.
Do you know how huge that is? Because he's losing at LSU, and they're losing to Georgia, most likely.
Most likely.
And
maybe even at Arkansas.
Ooh, now. Woo pig, baby.
Well, I don't know what KJ Jefferson's going to be at Arkansas, and I don't. I'm wondering what they kind of surprised some people. They beat Mississippi State and Ole Miss, and everybody got hot and bothered last year, and they had that bump with the new coach. And I get that he's got 2 awesome coordinators who are phenomenal football coaches, and Kendall Briles and Barry Odom. But I wonder if they're going to take a slight, if they're not going to continue to take these 3-4 steps forward. And are we getting a little ahead of ourselves with the Razorbacks?
Look at their schedule, Bo. Here's why they probably have no chance to beat Auburn. Because they'll be coming off a 3-game stretch of A&M at Georgia at Ole Miss.
Dang.
Arkansas was awarded the number 1 most difficult schedule this season. Yeah.
Okay.
By ESPN FPI, if I'm not mistaken. They play
Texas.
And
it's a terrible schedule.
Listen to the top 5 recruiters they play on the road. Georgia, LSU, and Alabama. All on the road. And you pull A&M at home, and the 4th top 5 recruiter.
Texas. Game to second week of the season.
Early line, kind of odd. Texas only a 3.5-point favorite.
And trying to figure out what Sark's got. He's just walking in. It's new.
QB position is we joke, it's always the answer to every question, but it's really the answer to the question of what can Texas be this year. Because he's got 2 guys, and if you got 2, do you have 1, right?
Right.
That's kind of where I think Sark is with his offense this year.
Yeah. And you know what else jumped out at me this week? Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone. When Tom Luganville talked about Bryce Young and how he's so small in stature, I think we've got that audio, don't we? This is Luganville talking about Alabama's starting quarterback, who is very talented, but even smaller than Tua. That's all right.
Sorry.
All right. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Breezy Oaks Ranch. And that would be breezyoaksranch.com. They will deliver Wagyu beef and heritage pork to your door. They have beef samplers, pork samplers, breakfast box samplers, grilling, game day brunch, bacon, sausage, fillets, pork chops, you name it. breezyoaksranch.com out of Canton and Baden, Mississippi. Their product is amazing, especially coming up here again soon. breezyoaksranch.com. That's breezyoaksranch.com. This is Tom Luganville talking about the Alabama QB, Bryce Young.
Alabama, with that little guy, I'm going to be interested to see how he holds up.
Okay. Kind of like Tua.
Yeah, like Tua, but he's much more frail than Tua was. Like Tua was short, but he wasn't small.
No, he was kind of
Bryce
stocky.
Is short and small.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bryce is short and small. And so that'll be interesting. And the other thing, too, with Bryce is I'm going to be interested to see if he can make plays into tight windows because he didn't have to do that in high school. They were so much better than everybody else at Mater Dei that he didn't have to make a lot of contested or challenged throws, and he's going to have to now. And in many instances, he's going to have to make some of them from the pocket. So that's going to be fun to watch.
Okay, so he called him a little guy. That was Tom Luganville, National College Football Analyst, ESPN, talking about Bama's new QB. Now, does he have to do that much? No. But he'll still have to make a few plays here and there. And so he's even smaller than Tua. Tua had, a little bit of weight on him, was slightly stocky, I guess. And he says Bryce Young is small. He's not a big dude. So how will that go? I mean, you can take – Miami's got dudes. I know Miami's not supposed to even come close in this game, but they could still get a shot on him. I mean, there are other teams, Florida, Ole Miss, A&M, MSU, Tennessee, LSU, Auburn. I mean, these schools all have edge rushers and you know the drill. Guys that can decleat you. It doesn't matter. Now, obviously some of these defenses are better than others that I just rolled through, but all of them have either 240-pound, 250-pound edge rushers and in the middle, 280 to 310. And, if you're that small, you got to be careful.
Tua was listed at 6 foot 218.
Yeah, he had he had some weight on him.
Bryce is 6 foot 194, according to his listing.
That's a big swing.
It's 20 pounds.
He may have gained a little bit of weight, but that's a big swing.
That's a 20-pound difference. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body.
Well, I guess it's something to keep an eye on, right?
If
I don't even know who they would play after that.
When was the last
I'm sorry, I don't know who they would play. If he gets knocked out for a game or two, I don't even know who I would think the backup's super young too, just like he is.
That was my question. When was the last time Alabama had to go through a season with a backup quarterback playing the majority of the snaps? I mean, it's been a long, long time, right?
Tua got knocked out against Mississippi State, but there were only about 3 games left, and Mac Jones came in.
Yep. And they were already out of the race at that point, were they not? That was post-LSU game.
Yes.
Yeah. We haven't seen an Alabama quarterback go out with the season on the line in a long time, I don't think. I don't remember them ever having to go to the backup in my recent memory. Not in the Saban era run.
I mean, they pulled Hurts because they wanted to, and that was just a half a game in the title game, right?
Yeah, they went back and forth with the Coker, Jake Coker, and who was the other one that they went back and forth with a couple times? But that wasn't an injury. That was them trying to figure out who they were going to start, right? They didn't know what they were going to do at quarterback. So
that's something else to think about. LSU going to UCLA with 2 new coordinators. Bama with a good, talented kid who's from Mater Dei High School in California.
Pasadena?
Which is kind of the hotbed, as y'all know, for quarterback coaches. I mean, those are the guys out there that are charging $500,000-$800,000 an hour. I mean, it's boomed here in the Sun Belt, right? With QB country and things like that, but out there, that's where it's obviously a lot more money, a lot more people. That's where really the whole one-on-one QB training boom started. And there are guys out there making, I think there's guys out there charging $1,000, $1,500 plus an hour. Because it started way back when with Southern Cal in the 90s. And then you went through all the 2000s with the guys who had QB coaches like Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart and all those dudes.
Yep. Sanchez, all them.
Yeah. So that's where Matt Corral. I don't know if Matt was getting $1,500 an hour, but Matt is from that area.
Yeah.
In other words, in California, even though Cali's not producing some other positions, QB is a position that the L.A. metro area and San Diego and even up into some of the coastline will produce some QBs, and that's where Bryce Young's from. They were able to go in. I guess Sark probably was the lead on him a couple of years ago, and Sark is from out there, and Kiffin did the same thing, but Sark was at Alabama as the OC, and he was the lead recruiter on Bryce Young and was able to land him and bring him into the Alabama Crimson Tide. So that's 2 West Coast guys, Blake. Matt Corral, start for Ole Miss. Bryce Young will start for Bama. JT Daniels. There may be more.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. Looking. Yeah, I'm sure there are. Not off the top of my head, I don't know them, but I would feel confident that there are probably more.
Interesting.
I mean, look, we've talked about the NFL Top 100. They released number 21 today, and it was Aaron Rodgers. That's a West Coast quarterback. Yeah, I know. I dropped that on
Aaron's
like 2 minutes left.
Only number 21
all time.
Could argue he's the best quarterback ever to play the game.
Oh, it's a great discussion. He's 1-4 in NFC title games.
I understand. I'm just talking about
talent.
I
get it.
He could be the most talented player to ever play the position.
There is a strong argument for that. He came in at 21 today. But my point was
he's light years better than
California kid.
He's so much better than Elway.
They're not going to put. Oh, that's true. But Elway's definitely going to be ahead of him.
Elway's going to be in the top
20. It's got to be now.
Okay.
They're going to put some. They're going to put some like position players in that you might argue
that
aren't
shouldn't be in there.
Well, because it's going to be because relative to the people in their position, they may be that much more dominant ahead of them. But it's not. The list is not a list of who impacts the game the most.
Right.
It's who's the best 100 players. Period.
I'd be okay with like Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay. And a few others, but this thing needs to be QBs.
Well, there's not 20 more QBs to go on the list, so I know it's not going to be all QBs.
I don't know about that. I mean, all right, Peyton Manning,
Tom
Brady,
Elway.
Aikman's
not on the list yet.
Surely they don't drop Aikman in the top 20 just because he...
I don't know.
If we talk about Eli Manning not being the driving force of the Giants Super Bowl teams, and you can agree or disagree with that. I'm just telling you what Jeff Duncan said earlier, okay?
Oh, I agree with you.
Then Troy Aikman's not the driving force for the Dallas Cowboys winning Super Bowls. He wasn't.
No.
Well, Jimmy Johnson basically said that on a podcast a few weeks ago. He wasn't taking a shot at Troy again. He was just talking about how he made sure to kind of correct the host. He was like, well, we had either the number 1 or number 2 defense.
Yeah. And they're the number 1 run game for like 4 straight seasons. Yeah.
So, but this thing needs to be littered with QBs.
I think it will be littered with QBs. I'm just saying that there will be other positions in this top 20 for sure.
Okay.
It's going to be interesting to see who falls in there.
I may make my own NFL 100. It's going to be the first 54 are going to be QBs. Well, sorry, except Lawrence Taylor.
Where would he fall? How high up? Is he the best? Are you saying Lawrence Taylor is unequivocally the best defensive player in the history of the NFL? Is that what you're saying? Because he's the only one you're listing.
Oh, let me think about that for 1 second.
Just curious.
Right off the top of my head, I say yes.
Aaron Donald is number 24 for just to put that in perspective, and he's
unbelievable.
He's been defensive player of the year like 4 straight seasons. The step between him and the next best player at his position statistically is greater than the difference between the best QB and like the 21st QB.
Fair enough. He's first ballot Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We can all agree on that, I think. All right, good show today. If you missed any of it, please check out Apple Podcasts and search the Out of Bounds Show. Thanks for listening to 105.9 The Zone, WRKS, ESPN. Brought to you by Boar's Head. Oh, delicious premium meats and cheeses and hummus. You can find it at Corner Market. You can find all the Boar's Head premium meats, cheeses, and hummus at Corner Market. You can also download the Corner Market app right now. Corner Market in Fondren, in Bellhaven, and Northside Drive. Thanks for listening to the show. Would love for you to hit Apple Podcasts. Search the Out of Bounds Show. We'll see you tomorrow.